By the end of this video, you'll not only know where MyFitnessPal falls short or succeeds, but also what is the big picture of weight loss science of getting the most out of any calorie counting app. Because essentially, MyFitnessPal is just showing you nutritional information based on the data that you put in there. You need to know, one, when to trust that information, and number two, what to do with that information. We break the science down into 7 must-know tips in order to get the most out of MyFitnessPal or any calorie counting app.
Let's start very quickly with how MyFitnessPal works. So when you first start, you enter your body stats, your activity levels, and MyFitnessPal will tell you how many calories per day to target in order to lose weight. When you eat or drink anything, you type in what you consume and then you pick the closest match of the food from their food database. This returns you how much calories and macros that you consume for today and how much you have left so that you can plan what you're going to eat for the rest of the day accordingly. You can also track your body weight and measurements and add a photo for that day to track your picture progress as well. Now that's the core functionality. Besides this, all the features that you'd expect to find around food logging, like saving recipes, entering new foods that aren't in the database, scanning barcodes for quick logging, copying over foods from previous days, sharing recipes, etc., those are also included. Features around exercise include logging your exercise, of course, and then syncing also with wearables like Fitbit and Apple Watch. You can also talk with other MyFitnessPal users and stay motivated by using their forums.
Before we get to the pros and cons, let's get this question out of the way. Do you need to get the premium version? No. I personally don't think being able to set macro goals or being able to set calorie goals per meal justifies $9.99 per month. You can see your macros on the website version of MyFitnessPal, and also if you just rotate your phone to be horizontal, the macros show up. You can also just remember what your upper bound is for your macros and calories so that when you're going over them, you will notice them. You don't really need a notification to pop at you to tell you that.
So MyFitnessPal has a gigantic food database. So if you eat a lot of different kinds of food, you might get a lot of usage out of this. This is by far the main reason that MyFitnessPal continues to dominate amongst calorie counting apps. So MyFitnessPal started back in 2005. That is 14 years ago. Through customer contributions of foods around the world over those 14 years, they pretty much have any food that you can think of to search for. MyFitnessPal also continues to have an active customer base, which means that new foods get added constantly. This is a big benefit because manually entering all your food's nutrition label can be extremely tedious and make you want to just stop logging completely. In fact, that's the #1 complaint that users have against other calorie counting apps out there like Lifesum or Noom.
Pro number 2, group accountability and support. If you're someone who really enjoys participating in a group and the accountability that affords, then you're going to love MyFitnessPal's community. You can follow other MyFitnessPal users' journey, and if they have given permission, you can also see all of their food diary as well as their weight progress. Another community that you can join is the Lose It subreddit on reddit.com. The people on there are fervent MyFitnessPal users.
Okay, let's talk about the cons now. First, there are a lot of false entries in the food database. This is a downside of every large crowdsourced database out there. You will find many wrong food entries that others have put in throughout the years. This becomes even more of an issue for people who are just starting to calorie count. Say when you enter chicken breast, you're going to find so many entries with different nutritional information, and if you're just starting out, you don't know what to pick. It could vary from like 100 calories to like 900 calories.
Con number 2, bugginess. Yes, the ads are everywhere. Some complain that the app drains a lot of their battery. This could have been a certain version that they released. And some complain that the user experience isn't the best, especially with the home screen always taken up by the blog mostly with just your summary on top instead of your food diary or something else that is important to you.
Number 1, don't get hung up on the accuracy. By far, the top complaints on any calorie app is food inaccuracy. I listed this as a con because finding the reasonable selections can be really tedious. But did you know that even the FDA allows as much as 20% variance on their food labels? Yep, there's no such thing as 100% accurate. Instead, what I suggest is this. Use the hand portioning guide that I linked in the description below to estimate the portion size. Barcode scan your packaged food so that it's easy. For raw foods, pick an entry with calories that are most frequently repeated. For restaurants, pick the closest entry from a chain restaurant or whatever number is closest to the average of the first 20 entries that you see in your calorie counting app's dropdown. And for recipes, import them. If the recipe was your own creation, then use the hand portioning guide linked in the description below. And log your low-calorie foods, including vegetables. A lot of people, especially people who are coming from Weight Watchers, won't log their vegetables or their fruits because on Weight Watchers they don't count. However, they do have calories, and every little bite of it does count, especially if you've never done this before. And finally, log your caloric beverages. So this is your sodas, any caffeinated drinks, any alcoholic drinks, those count as well.
Number 2, don't blindly go with the calorie goal suggested to you. Most calorie counting apps just do very simple math. They take your maintenance calories and then they subtract 500 from it, and that's your goal for every day. For most people, that's a really steep decrease from what you're used to right now. In practice, we personally with our clients have seen even a 200 calorie deficit result in a 1 to 2 pound weight loss every week. I recommend thinking of the 500 calorie deficit that MyFitnessPal gives you versus the 200 calorie deficit that I mentioned, and choosing something either towards the 200 range or the 500 range, depending on how sustainably and how quickly you want to lose weight. Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Don't get hung up on the "this is how much you'll weigh in X weeks" chart. MyFitnessPal shows you a chart where if your body, works predictably like a machine and is losing weight linearly, it shows you what weight you should expect to be in a month. But no human is a machine, and there are many factors at play in your body, so most people will never hit the weight shown in that expected chart. And thus, they sometimes will feel disappointed by their perceived lack of progress. But because you know that weight fluctuates, you're not going to be completely, holding yourself accountable to what the chart says.
Number 4, don't unhealthily compensate. For example, MyFitnessPal allows you to eat back your exercise calories. Don't do this. Many of our clients who used MyFitnessPal previously were eating back their exercise calories, and that was a huge contributing factor on why they were stuck for such a long time before they came to us. The reason for not eating back your calories is because it's really hard to out-exercise your diet. And also, most apps out there completely overestimate how many calories you've actually burnt doing any exercise. For example, a woman weighing about 150 pounds, if she spends about 30 minutes on a treadmill, that's about 2 tablespoons of almond butter. Not to mention, eating back your exercise calories may lead to an unhealthy mindset where you're using food as a reward for doing well and then exercise as a punishment for not doing well. Similarly, if you overate the prior day, don't undereat the next day. Keep your calorie target the same day to day, no matter what happened the previous day. Because that's like saying, okay, you weren't able to jump 1 feet yesterday, go ahead and jump 2 feet today.
Don't get obsessed by the numbers. A lot of my clients who have used MyFitnessPal in the past have talked about how they were constantly thinking about food and doing math for food every single time they go out or even start preparing a meal. They were really anxious about not having room to eat at the end of the day and anxious about being hungry later on in the day. This is a thought process that you really want to watch out for and avoid if you can. Just log your food and move on. In fact, this brings me to the next point.
Number 6, plan ahead. Having your main meals already logged for the next day will save you a lot of disappointments. It's really difficult and also not critical for most people to track all 3 macros and try to really nail all of the ratios while trying to keep under the calorie goal. I suggest to my clients to focus on 1 macro goal and meeting that plus the calorie goal. Everything else, like carbs and fat, tends to adjust itself accordingly when you're just focusing on protein, because you'll automatically eat less of fat and carbs if you're eating more of protein while trying to stay under a calorie goal. So for example, if you're planning your meals for the next day and you're tracking, let's say, protein and calories, then what you want to do is go ahead and log into MyFitnessPal the main proteins that you're gonna have, the 3 or 4 times in the day, and then only add the other foods such that you will remain under the calorie goal.
Finally, track body measurements, not just weight. You want to do this because you want to make sure that you aren't losing more muscle than fat. I have linked in the description below a body fat calculator which you can use to track the rate of lean mass versus fat loss. Also, water retention is inevitable. Some weeks your weight won't go down, but your body measurement will. This says that you are losing fat, but your body is holding on to water. You won't know this if you're not tracking your body measurement, and you'll feel really frustrated if all you see is the weight and the weight is not going down. So pay attention to your weight on a weekly basis. Either weigh yourself every week or weigh yourself every single day and take an average of all of those days so that the daily fluctuations flatten out. Do not panic over daily fluctuations.
So how does MyFitnessPal compare? MyFitnessPal is a really solid calorie counting app. It has a simple, straightforward function and it does it well. If you follow the 7 points that we discussed earlier while you're using MyFitnessPal, you'll be off to an awesome start. The closest competitor to MyFitnessPal is the Lose It app. It is said to have a better user experience and its database is quite close to MyFitnessPal's. In my opinion, if you want to really play it safe and make sure that the food database is extensive, then go with MyFitnessPal. And if you really hate the user experience on MyFitnessPal, then go ahead and try Lose It.
Who is MyFitnessPal for? MyFitnessPal is a great starting point for those who want to DIY their weight loss. If that's you, do keep in mind the 7 big picture points that we discussed earlier. You may also want to pick up a book that explains the science behind what you're doing, because trust me, you aren't going to lose fat linearly and you will get stuck if you have been making progress for enough time. Having understanding of what you can expect to happen and what may be happening whenever things don't go as planned and what to do next is going to make or break keeping your morale up and letting you continue to make progress even past those plateau points. So in the description below, I've included some links to some of my favorite books. One of them is Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle by Tom Venuto. It costs about $12 on Amazon. The other one is Thinner, Leaner, Stronger by Mike Matthews. And it's about $15 on Amazon. And then lastly, there's our book, the Lose Fat, Gain Muscle on Your Terms book that Richard and I wrote. It basically distills whatever was in the first 2 books, plus we add a little bit more about psychological strategies for dealing with cravings, parties, and peer pressure. You know, the day-to-day stuff that stops people from matching what they practice with the goals they have in mind. And we really try to streamline all the information down into a very concise, readable format so that you can just breeze through the book but still get all the information that you need. The book is free and all you have to do is pay for shipping.
Who is MyFitnessPal not for? If you're someone who keeps getting stressed by the numbers despite your best efforts, if you find yourself constantly thinking about food and the numbers and what to eat, then you might want to step back and take a break. Number 2, if you're someone who hates going through all of the food search results and trying to find the entry that is closest to what you ate because you don't want to underestimate in case you don't lose weight and you don't want to overestimate in case you go hungry. If you would rather delegate that work to someone else, we do this at Coach Viva. So there you have it, a comprehensive review of MyFitnessPal. Are there other health and fitness products that you want us to review? Go ahead and leave that in the comment below. And if you like this content and you want to see more of it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and also hit that bell icon so that you get a notification every time we drop a video. All right, until next time.